Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Championship Sunday here for the MLG Spring Arena #1. We started off with 8 players here at the beginning of the Spring Arena, and we are down to just 4 remaining right now. And Grubby, this is pretty exciting times here as we are going to be crowning a champion very soon.
Yeah, so far great news for these 4 players. Hart, Marineking, Ganzi and Dongregul, all of which have made it into Spring Championship pool play, as well as the Spring Arena #2, which you can watch if you've purchased the $30 HD pass for the whole spring season. But for now, more importantly, they have an opportunity to increase their standing in this tournament with the semifinals starting soon.
Yeah, so MKP chose to play Hart, which makes for an interesting game because, of course, because we had the round robin at the beginning, we have a result already from these 2 players meeting before, and it was a 2-1 towards MKP. First game was very much a Marine tank head-on, a mano-a-mano battle, and then Marineking Prime in Game 2 opened with Reaper speed, and it was an interesting game, but Hart ended up winning with that. And then in the last game, MKP just sort of rolled over Hart with a very fast Marine Hellion timing. So it was one of the shortest TVTs that I've ever casted before, and I casted that with QXC, and those guys will be joining us on the analysis desk here in a little bit, but I think we're going to be hopping right into the game, so let's make sure the players are ready to go, and thanks for joining us here for Championship Sunday. We've got Marineking Prime going up versus Hart, and you can see Marineking Prime with a little bit higher TVT win ratio at 66%, where Hart is straight up 50% in his TVT. And, I mean, based off of yesterday's games, I think on paper, Marineking Prime is really the favored individual in this matchup.
Yeah, that might be why he has chosen to go with Hart for his semifinals placement.
Did you hear his reasoning before, actually?
What was his reasoning?
It's kind of interesting because in the interview, he said that he did not want Hart and Ganzi to have to team kill each other. I kind of feel like
sweet.
That was sweet. I think that's a little
angel.
Fluffy answer. I think that he obviously would love to face off against his now MLG nemesis DRG.
You think in this pink wrapped gift there was actually a vile reason underlying that?
I think so. I mean, 3rd championship against DRG at MLGs, that'd be pretty amazing story, Grubby.
He doesn't just want to defeat Dongregul, he wants to crush him for all time.
Yes. Let's introduce our players here in the northwest corner. No, Adebisi's getting impatient over there. We've got the Red Terran, Marineking Prime. And looking for his 3rd MLG championship, guys, which is really important because Huck was the other player in contention for 3 MLG championships won. Here in the southeast position, Complexity Hart, the Blue Terran, an amazing player who, Grubby, let's be honest, he really has proved himself, and really, I mean, I think that no longer people can say Hart is just that player that people are going to figure out and is super aggressive.
Yeah,
He's
Artosis.
done well. Yeah, Artosis.
And can we call Hart the challenger here? Already exceeded expectations thus far. Now in the top 4 and taking on Marineking. He's done better, I think, than people would have thought he would, and now has a chance to upset perhaps the prospective first favorite of this tournament, Marineking.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how these games will unfold, Grubby. Of course, this is going to be a best of 5. The other matchup is not going on right now. It will come up. That, of course, will be Ganzi versus DRG. And that'll come up next after this matchup. Now let's go ahead and talk about this game because already we're seeing some differences as MKP, if I'm not mistaken, did go gas first and has the racks up. He's already up to 100, allowing him to put that factory down immediately.
Yeah.
And he might actually go for something like we saw in that 3rd game that he played versus Hart yesterday in the round robin stages. At this point, low ground CC coming out of Hart with just the 1 Marine up there. So here on Entombed Valley, we get things started here in this best of 5.
Yeah, so it looks like Hart will be working firstly on his economic lead, and the onus will be on Marineking to do damage. And there's no doubt about it that in the first few minutes Marineking will have to and want to and is planning to do something that will do damage to Hart. Now, we're not exactly sure what yet, but because we don't see a second refinery from Marineking, we can say it's probably going to be something Hellion based.
Second fat.
Okay, so no second refinery, but he does have the starboard. That's a little bit funny.
He's going to get a Banshee out pretty quick.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think he's
without
going to be
cloak.
able to get Cloak.
Yeah, one Banshee and Helion. So Banshee can be used for spotting. It's, of course, a very good fighting unit. Will he make Marines, Helions, and Banshees and go for it? Could be.
Yeah, and the other thing, if we just take a look at the vision, first off, Marineking has no idea where his opponent is, and we do have an SCV and a couple Marines making his way up here. SCV spotting for Marineking Prime. We'll see that. He does have ramp advantage here, so he'll go ahead and chase now with the Hellion out, a second Hellion advancing. This might actually be pretty bad for Hart, and this is where yesterday we saw a lot of differences in these games because the micro, especially with so few units, Grubby, it can become so important. I mean, right there we see no units lost for Marineking, and he's going to repair that Hellion. So he's already going to be moving out with this deadly little force, and with that Banshee following up, this is that really quick kind of how you're going to deal with this aggression that we saw yesterday from MKP in Game 3.
Yeah, and quite honestly, Hart was not really able to afford losing that. His bunker won't actually finish in time to quite deal with this Hellion, but the vision is helping out. The Hellion got taken down. Nice focus firing there by Hart. Second Hellion and third Hellion coming in, and he's taking down most of the Marines, but one is able to go in. Was in time to raise his supply depot so that there will be no entrance given into the main base. Potentially, Hart could be putting his SCVs in the bunker, and that's exactly what we see. So Hart in a bit of an uncomfortable position, but he did the best he could, lost no SCVs, and actually there's nothing quite fragile right there except that SCV that just popped out.
He's going to try to attack this, however, and the big difference between this game and what happened yesterday is that bunker never got up. So you can imagine if it was stopped, if the SCV was killed, then suddenly it really limits your defense here at the front. Now he's shutting down this expansion here, and we do have, you know, where did the Banshee go? Okay, here we go. The Banshee's going right into the main as Adebisi's all over it, but now he's going to have to pull those Marines back, which means that there's no doubt that we're going to see that shut down. And look at Hart repairing these SCVs as they are getting hit, but then he targets away the individual ones. Here come the Marines
nice
to help
repairing.
out. Yeah, he actually did not get a whole lot right there. What's the kill count on the Banshees? He's up to 8. So take that back.
Nice little bit of StarCraft mastery coming out here from Marineking. Maybe you've played around with that level. This Banshee is able to take down those Marines, taking minimal damage. Already netting 14 kills on him and looking to take more. Again, nice repairing. And now that the first Viking is out, keep in mind there's no cloak, so this Banshee will be taken out with a grand total of roughly 16 kills. Very damaging, and Marineking, he's not behind economically, having invested so much in this attack. He actually created, during all this, a command center and 2 additional barracks, so he's looking very, very strong in this game.
Yeah, and you know, although that attack was designed to, I think, do a little bit more damage, all it did that it needed to do is, of course, pay for itself. And just look at that initial force that's already heading out. It's got the Viking out, the initial Marines, and the tank. Do we have siege mode? I don't think we have siege quite yet. No, we don't, and not even being researched. But this little beast group alone is going to be pretty difficult. If he can take command of this natural ground at the bottom of Hart's ramp, it's going to be really hard for Hart to do anything about it.
Yeah, and the SCV count is more or less equal. Almost everything is more or less equal, except the Marine count, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 15 Marines for Marineking, just 2 for Hart, and they're both in the bunker. Hart is sitting at such a big army deficiency, and there's almost no way for him to hold this off. And I'm starting to understand why these 2 had such quick games. Marineking with a merciless attack that did really a lot of damage, and now going to take down this expansion.
I mean, we're pretty much going to see the exact same thing here. The Marine's going to pop out now, and again, Micro coming big into play here, but we have the SCVs on repair, trying to save that orbital. It will happen, however, taking out this missile turret and eventually being able to move forward. Now, you know, had Marineking had siege mode here, this could be much different, but we now see siege mode coming out for Hart, and that'll be the only way he'll really be able to defend and push. But there it is, GG. It's going to be much too late, and game 1 goes to MKP. He makes it look so easy, Grubby.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah. And that's the mark of a very, very good player. I'm so curious to see what QXC and JP have to say about this.
Guys, what do you think?
Well, I want to know, QXC, you're watching your teammate play right here in Hart, and you were talking to me how he was kind of messing up there when he moved forward with the initial Marines going up against Marineking. What was his fatal flaw on that map?
Yeah, I mean, that 3 Marine, 1 SCV pressure doesn't really make a lot of sense. I actually can't think of a build where that would work, where you're actually doing damage against it. Like, I don't know what Hart was thinking there. 1 Rex expand, you're going to have more units. CC first at that time, you probably have enough Marines. Even gas first we saw. Like, the first Hellion is out, that's no problem to take care of. I just feel like Hart's head wasn't really in that game.
I mean, was it just an attempt to scout, and he just maybe overextended himself, and that's kind of where the mistake lied?
I mean, I don't really attempt to scout with 3 Marines usually.
I'm just trying to, give him the benefit of the doubt, QXC.
Yeah,
but you're right. I mean,
There is no benefit of the doubt. It just didn't make a lot of sense.
No doubt about
that's
it.
why
Yeah.
that's why we think that you are great on that analyst desk. Seriously, no fluff over there
No
with QXC.
fluff.
We
So that
love
kind
it.
of snowballs into every other disadvantage that Hart suffered, doesn't
Oh,
it?
yeah,
Losing
I
those
mean,
Marines.
losing the 3 Marines, and then back at the natural, you saw he only had about 3 or 4 Marines to defend against those 3 Hellions. If you have 7 Marines, you can hold that at the top of your ramp. He would have had time to get the bunker up. When the bunker gets up, you don't have to worry about the Hellions in your natural, and then you have those extra Marines to deal with the Banshee. He wouldn't have gotten so distracted with the attack. He wouldn't have gotten supply stuck, which was why the Banshee was able to do so much damage, is when the starport finished, he was supply stuck, and so the Viking was 10 or 15 seconds delayed.
Okay, so Hart doesn't need to feel too bad about this game. It's a small mistake that led to everything else, I do think. So he doesn't need to say, okay, my whole game plan sucks.
Yeah. I mean, Hart did take a game off of MKP yesterday. It was kind of based off of what MKP ended up doing. He opened up with that really crazy Reaper speed Hellion build, which was shut down pretty nicely by Hart. So is Marineking going to feel comfortable enough? I mean, the one thing that when it comes down to TVT and you have these early game armies where there's such a small amount of units, I feel like MKP has a huge advantage because his control